All right, Eugene, I have a question for you.
What's good?
Everyone in here is well acquainted with the mouth from Mineola, Coach Al Groh. Obviously, you played for him. Our dad worked for Coach Groh at UVA. What is your funniest Coach Groh story?
Oh, funniest Coach Bro story. Man, you're gonna make me reach in the bag for that. Because he's funny, but man, Coach Grow is like mostly serious, right? Like, I just remember or this might not be funny, but it's one that stands out to me. We were in practice one day and I believe it was Mike Brown went down on the field with an ACL, right? Like just tragic. And just in cold-hearted fashion, Coach Groves like, move the drill. He should
Oh.
have used better technique. He should have used better technique. Move the drill. I'm just like, oh man, this is cutthroat out here.
That is amazing and on brand.
Yeah, for sure. Man down, and he's just like, hey, he should have did better. Let's go.
Well, in the spirit of approaching this with proper technique, welcome to the 4-3-4 defense. My name is Deuce Prince. I'm a Charlottesville, Virginia native, lifelong UVA football fan, and former college offensive lineman. And I am joined by an amazing trio today. As per usual, my brothers James and John, both former college football players. John just finished up at Indiana State. James played at Delaware and Indiana State as well as Howard. And we are joined by a very, very special guest today. Our first former UVA football player, our first official member of the Wahoos on this podcast, and I couldn't ask for a better guest. Number 75 in your program, but number one when it comes to protecting your quarterback, Eugene Monroe. Eugene, how are we doing, man?
Hey, what's good, y'all? Man, this is special. I feel like this is family in a way because, I remember seeing you guys growing up and, being raised by your father, and in a way, so was I, right?
Right.
Like coming into my own at UVA and having him that first year there. And then I got the privilege of working with him again in Jacksonville, which was awesome. So yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for having me, fellas.
Happy to have you on, man.
Yeah.
James, as James and John, you share Eugene's height gene that I seemingly did not get. But Eugene, coming out of high school in New Jersey, obviously a very highly recruited player. You had offers from all across the country, whether it was Florida State or Texas or any number of schools. What drew you to Charlottesville and what drew you to the University of Virginia?
Man, what a beautiful place. I'll never forget my first time pulling up to the campus. It was just unreal. And I had experience at a few other schools. I lived maybe 10 minutes away from Rutgers, who thought I would go there, but I just enjoyed the food they fed me on every visit. So I spent a lot of time there. But no, getting to UVA just, you would hear coaches tell you about their teams and the environment that they look to create. And everyone said this is a family, right? But it never felt that way until I went to Charlottesville, and that became real. And there was also right number one public university in the country at the time. Education was important to me, and so was my football career, right? And so like having coaches there like your dad who was like clearly coaching guys who were going to the next level, and that was clear. So I also saw that like there's real opportunity to actually hone my craft, work with the best, compete against the best. Um, and so that really helped steer me there. Just the combination of all those things, the opportunity all around, and that all held true with my experience in Charlottesville. Yeah.
Absolutely. James, I know you have a question that you want to ask,
Yeah.
and I'll pivot over to you.
Yeah. So you're talking about obviously, when it comes to every day in practice, competing and working with some of the best players, when you look back on your time at Virginia, Is there a game or a moment during your time there that really stood out to you in terms of what was most impactful? Maybe a favorite memory in terms of like a game, an opponent. Obviously there's so many great rivalries that UVA has with so many different teams in the ACC, but is there one in particular that stood out to you?
Man, there's it's so clear to me right now. I feel like I'm there in the lineup in the stadium as I think about it. But we were playing Florida State, and like I said, we had guys who were clearly going to the next level, and DeBrickashaw Ferguson had got hurt, and so I was next man up. I wasn't starting. We had another offensive lineman as a freshman who was first year who was starting, Brandon Albert. And I was playing behind DeBrickashaw, who was also like an incredible mentor to me. I love that man. He taught me the game and sort of took me under his wing that whole year. But now it was my turn, right? So I get in the game and I forget the protection and get Marcus Higgins blasted, right? So like that kind of redefined everything about my career from that point, right? I understood like this is a mental game. It doesn't matter like how hungry I am, how bad I want to beat people up. If I don't get this right, this isn't going to pan out well. And that moment really redefined how I saw the game.
Let me follow up. So, like, you talk about guys that you were in that locker room with, and specifically the O line room with guys like DeBerkshire and Brandon Albert. Obviously, when it comes to summer camp and the fall, and you're battling each and every day to get those positions on the field, I remember my dad has told Deuce and John and I this story of how during the games and in the warm-ups, he would bring the recruits that they would have on game day visits, and they would walk along the stretch lines, and he would point out certain guys and be like, "You mean to tell me you're not better than this dude?" Or calling certain people out. So how does it go from, you guys are all competing because there's only 5 spots on that field and there's 15 to 13 guys in the offensive line room, to then going from competing every day to then knowing that you guys can trust each other when it comes to game day?
I think you build that trust through the competition, right? Like, everyone's jockeying for a spot, and then clearly, the guys who are going to be starting and most trusted roll out on the field, and then there's this mentality that's baked in that Coach Grow and the rest of the coaches, like your father, also instilled in us, and it's like the next man up mentality, right? At any moment, your number could be called, and we prepare everybody on the team, to be in position. And that was true for us. So, it was just the ethos that we carried as Virginia football, right? Like you better be ready to go at any time. We're not preparing, the second team guys any less, right? Everyone's going hard, everyone's studying, everyone's doing what's necessary to put ourselves in the best position to win and find a way to do so. So it was just our DNA. Yeah, yeah.
John, I know you have some stuff you want to get into.
Yeah, so I just finished up my season, so this will be it for me. I've obviously had two great examples of what it's like post athletics and after your football career. You've been incredibly successful so far after football. What was that transition like for you coming out of football into your next stage of life?
I mean, was prepared by Virginia, right? They definitely instilled that football is not the only reason we were on campus. Things look different now with how the portal has things moving and stuff, which has been interesting. But for me, the mindset was preparing for life. It wasn't just preparing for football. And so when it was time first to go from college to the NFL, for example, the systems that were installed there were essentially professional systems. There was no transition from being a college player to being an NFL player in terms of any aspect of, how life goes during the season. And then when it was time for me, when I made a decision to stop playing, when injury had caught up to me, um, I was already making way in the area that you could say I transitioned to. And it didn't really feel like a transition. I was already active because I took time during the seasons, even, right, when most guys would say, I'm tired, I'm doing these things to take care of my body. I was doing all those same things, but at nighttime, I was downtown Baltimore and in meetings and learning the real estate game and learning how to move politically and all these things, which helped position me for the realm that I went into. That I was already involved in when I was playing, right? I had made some investments in the cannabis space, and I also saw that there was opportunity to get involved in the business to help learn how to learn how to run business and help this one expand. And
Mm.
so, I just dove right in. I was already in the trenches, and when I decided to retire, it was just like the next morning I'm already on the call that's scheduled. So, there wasn't really like this strain or transition. It was more of a flow into, what I had already established, which is unique, right? A lot of people don't get the opportunity to sort of build their life that way. But I learned, from some greats at UVA, and whether it was the guys who went on to the NFL or not, you could see the progression of guys who establish like I am more than an athlete. I'm more than a football player. I'm a well-rounded human and I have interests, that are well outside of this. And so, I nurtured those interests and spent real time, trying to learn as much as I can to apply myself. And so I just moved right on to the next thing.
I think this is something where the three of us, as well as my sister, we owe a debt of gratitude to you guys, especially yourself and the other guys in that offensive line room for setting an example of that. Because you see it in college now with guys trying to hang on for 8, 9 years, or guys in the league trying to continue to make it happen. You know, we had so many good examples of guys that got everything that they wanted to out of the game of football and were able to leave it on their terms. And that's been super helpful and super impactful as an example because, I'm, you know, coach parent, it's probably similar. When our dad tells us it's one thing, but when we see, oh, Eugene's moving this way, he's been able to make this transition, it makes it all the more real. So, like whether myself or my brothers or our sister, it gave us an example to just be able to move on from the game while still having that fondness and getting every bit out of it. So, from all of us, thank you for setting the example that you have, and I hope it's an example to athletes along the way, especially now where hanging on is so common now.
Yeah, I would just also say like thank you guys for allowing us to steal so much of your dad's time and like really teach and position us to make that transition. And UVA's got a rich history of athletes across all sports who have done so. So you really can't go there without seeing the example of what that looks like. And if you take it seriously and put the effort in, that opportunity is really there for everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you mentioned this about transitioning from college to the NFL. So Virginia in that time ran a very pro style offensive and defensive scheme. There were so many Sunday players on the field. There were so
Yeah.
many former and future Sunday coaches in the building. Did that make the transition to the NFL easier? I'm sure the lifestyle is different. There are so many other things that are different, but the actual football and the scheme, was that transition easier?
Man, again, like everything was pro style. So, going to Jacksonville from Virginia, it was like I'm doing the same thing all over again. And in terms of competition, I'm blocking Chris Long every day, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
blocking a first round draft pick every single day and second round picks. And playing against first round picks, every other weekend or so, because we had some steep competition during those times. So it was just like a prime era for me to go to Virginia, to be exposed to that level of competition, both in-house and like lining up every week. So, I felt more than prepared, even so much as so, I held out for a contract dispute, on my way into my first year in the league. And like clockwork, the first practice that I participated in, it was halfway through the night practice by the time my business was done and I could go put my pads on and slide onto the field. And I'm thrown right into an Oklahoma drill. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is awesome. I get the bust heads right out of the gate, like no warm ups, nothing, just straight Oklahoma. It was
Oh my God.
incredible.
That's awesome.
Who, let me, on the Oklahoma drill, who, because I'm sure you guys definitely did it at
Derek
UVA when,
Harvey,
yeah.
another first round pick, right? So like we were just pitting us against each other, best of the best. And we had some studs on that Jacksonville defensive front. Studs, if you remember, guys, you might remember a video of John Henderson in the locker room getting slapped by the
With the
trainer.
trainer.
You got
Yeah,
to do
like
better than that,
those are the guys
John.
I played with. Yeah,
You see that, and then you guys are lining up for Oklahoma drill, and you're maybe like five people behind, and you lean out to the line and you look to see who's like gonna match up from you, and then you kind of like look to the dude behind you and like, hey, like you go in front of me, or like, hey, let me get in front of you, or
yeah, I'm
whatever.
like, no, ain't no running, man. He's the three technique, so I gotta double this guy and run into a brick wall every day, man. Yeah, those are the good times.
And then obviously the University of Virginia plays at formerly Alltel Stadium, as it should be named, comes to Jacksonville, plays a great game. Have you kept up much with this current 2025 season? What was the point at which you realized, if you have kept up with it, that this team had something special going?
I mean, how could you not keep up with what's been going on, right? And just like being UVA family, everyone's always connected, talking about what's going on. And so, certainly as a team continue to do well and that media presence like dug a little deeper. And I'm not too far away. I'm just in Maryland, so we get to see all of this stuff. It was exciting to track the team this season for sure. And man, what a great job they did this year. It was fun ball to watch
It was
all year
incredible.
long. Yeah.
When you
Oh, I
over the
got
course of
breaking news. Sorry, James.
go ahead, do it.
Breaking news: Chandler Morris's eligibility waiver has been denied.
Okay, there you go. Wow.
So
Right on that.
so future. I've heard Pop Watson now that Lagway has committed to Baylor, but it'll be very interesting to see what's going on. James, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that is breaking news as we
No,
record this.
I was just gonna ask, like, if you were in today's, environment of college football where it's no longer a 4 year commitment or a 3 year commitment. It's guys are reviewing it after 1 year. You know, when you're 18, 19 years old, do you think in today's age you would have been able to handle sort of all the craziness? And if so, like, what would have you kind of projected yourself to see if you had to play in today's era of college football?
This is so tough to comprehend. And, seeing this type of movement, it's a completely different environment, right? Like we knew the guys we went to school with and the guys that all signed, like that was our class, and we were going to be there till we either graduated or fell out of the place. Um, and now it's like you play, you do well, and it's kind of like the pros, but now you're instantly a free agent and you can just decide to go where you want and then also get paid, which wasn't a thing for us either. So,
Right.
I'm not sure what it would have been like for me. It likely would have been a crazy experience. I went to UVA pretty decorated from high school as the number one player in the country. And so, I'm sure there would have been, steeper competition and a harder drive during recruiting for other schools to bring me in as well.
Mhm.
Although many did try, and I made my decision to go to Virginia early. But I'm not sure, right? Like if things were the climate that we have now, and you know would I have stayed at Virginia, right? I think about that. And the truth is probably not, right? If I'm ball out and then someone offers me a couple mil to go here, I'm probably gonna go.
Right.
And so I do understand like that business aspect of it. And certainly for me at the time and my family situation at home and such, I very likely would have gone somewhere if they were going to pay more money and help me situate my family and myself, and not be broke as I was at UVA. Yeah, I made money cutting hair and hanging TVs and throwing parties while I was at Virginia.
There we go. One of the reasons I started this podcast and one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have everyone on here is, you know, a lot of people are reacting to this Virginia season as if this is kind of the first time this is a thing. And one of the things I wanted to point out is like there was a point in time not too long ago in most people's living memory where Virginia was a factory for Sunday players, especially on the trenches. When Virginia football is good, the offense and defensive lines are great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it it is it's good to see that we got five returning guys on the offensive line, but a lot of those guys came in through the portal, like James, you were saying with the transfer portal. Guys like Elton Brown did not play really his freshman year. You were sitting behind DeBrickashaw trying to get on the field.
Yeah.
We had guys on our team.
It's crazy even hearing that, right? Like, man, Elton Brown, I used to watch his highlight tapes to get ready to play, man. Like, what a guy. Like, it just, player after player. And even my first year there, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, I'm playing behind him, right? But look over the other side. You got Brad Butler, you got Brian Bart, like holding down the center position, right? So like we were stacked, man.
I mean, and it's so funny, and like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, it's really funny that relationship because for the three of us, players like you, players like Biggie, players like DeBrickashaw, y'all were much older, but definitely older brothers in that way. And all three of us ended up playing football in the trenches. John on the defensive line, James and myself on the offensive line. Y'all made playing on the line cool, especially with how much we ran the ball and the sets we ran out of. Like, was there that sense of pride in the building as well amongst you guys? Like, because we were just sitting in the stands, we're like, man, we love watching this offensive line. Was it that same way in the building?
Absolutely. And as the offensive line, right? Like you have to run the team. If your offensive line is not running the team and they're not, the badasses that everyone's going to look to perform when it's needed, right? Like you're not going to win. And that was exactly what was instilled and built in us. No one was going to outwork us. No one was going to be tougher than us. And that's just that carried on, from the guys who were there before me, and I got to play with that type of talent and work ethic. You were almost forced into it as a result.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then, so if you were in a dark alley or you were in a bar and something was about to pop off, speaking of teammates, if you had to pick a handful, like three guys, who are you taking with you? Who are you taking with in the foxhole with you?
Ooh, oh man. That's tough. Number one's I gotta bring Brandon Albert in the alley with me. Him and I competed neck for neck at everything, right? Like who's got a bigger bicep vein? Like, nah, I'm coming out of this lift bigger than you. Like, no matter what it was, like we're just scrapping and pushing. Man, a handful. You know, Zach Stair,
Mhm.
who didn't have a lot of time on the field, but that was a tough dude. And we had some situations, just campus life as kids that that you want Zach in your corner. He'll do some damage. But man, like it's tough, right? Like Vic Hall. I mean, like what a dude.
Yeah.
We just had so many studs all over the field. Like it's hard to really handpick guys from the group that I played with. It was just a special time.
Man.
Well, and then it's funny that you mentioned the 2000. So the Florida State game we're talking about where he came in for DeBrick, that was '05, right?
Yeah, that's '05.
You and John have a very special kinship in that regard. I think you two have the highest attendance for their first college play. So you were coming in a packed Scott Stadium in '05. John last year or this year was at IU when he got in against that what we now know as an absolute mauler unit at IU
Mm-hmm.
and a packed house over at Memorial Stadium. Little did John know they were playing against a future potential national title contender.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
man.
they
Those environments, man, I've got goosebumps right now. My arms are covered, but I can show you if they weren't, man. Just like being in that spot, um, fighting for your life with your bros, man, and just the impact that you don't realize until you go through it, and then you can look at it in reflection and just appreciate how special of a time it was. I'm just glad I took it seriously and poured everything that was in my body into the experience, and didn't leave anything on the table, because it was just such incredible people, that I'm still connected with. Coach Grow annually now brings everyone together at winter time, like February. I missed the meeting this year, and had FOMO after seeing the pictures of just like guy after guy, generation of UVA after generation who just left it all on the field, and in the classroom and everywhere else in life. There's just a track record of just well-rounded dogs and just great men that have come through that place. Such a special. I love putting this sweater on. It's just straight up basic Virginia style, and
Yep.
man, I just my heart is still there.
The
I was about to say just like especially because 2005, the point is we're all in the mix. John is only just over a year old. Deuce and I are in that prime age of where we're able to kind of fully understand the gravity of some of these games. But I remember vividly like being in the stands because we had a rule with, especially with our family, like obviously away games we weren't really allowed to go to, and then a lot of the night games, depending on some of the situations, like we had to be out of there by like halftime or like the third quarter.
Yeah.
And I remember I remember being so upset going to that game and we had to leave early because it got like to the last inches of the, it's getting late into the night and my mom, she's handling all four of us, and we have like our family members all there. Like, I just imagine like, those environments back then, and especially when you talk about what the transition is from the UVA program now with UC, of how that energy is sort of back from what we saw in the mid 2000s. And you kind of touched on it earlier, but just again, kind of describe when you're in those environments as a player, and especially as a young player, how do you keep yourself locked into the game without getting too overwhelmed by everything that's going on around you?
There's something Coach Grow used to say to us that sort of encompasses everything you said. And he would always say that the hopes and dreams of everyone involved in what we do, everyone in the organization, everyone in the Virginia family, rides on this football and how we take care of it and how we take care of each other and all those things. So, like, remembering that and then pairing it with like the energy and just the setting and the experience, it makes it so much more special, and you take it serious because that the guy I'm playing next to, like, everything I put out, it's important to him that I'm maximizing every opportunity. And it's not just him, it's the folks that are cleaning up the locker room after, us crazy college kids, right? It's the people who
Mhm.
are feeding us. It's everybody who's pouring their time and energy into it. And as you get older, and you realize how important every person who touches the organization is, in the role that they play, and the care that you take into those moments. You can kind of, be calm, right? Like, and also understand that everyone else is riding with me too, right? Like
Mhm.
the guy next to me is giving me as much as I'm giving him. In those moments, right, the grandiose nature of those moments becomes small, and it allows you to focus and do your job.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
just had a flashback because you look spitting image of your dad one day when I was falling asleep in a meeting and he threw an eraser by my head to try to wake me up.
which,
I
I was gonna say,
we
which one of us are we talking about?
You.
we go back and John was he was driving by. He was out in New York visiting our grandparents, and he came back to Indiana where I am and stopped by and dropped off. We had some old memory boxes and we were going through them last night. Um, I have this distinct memory of we would come in. And obviously, like, after school or whatever it was, because you guys sometimes during the season or the summer would practice kind of like in those mid-afternoon
Mhm.
things or whatever. And we would come in right after school, right as you guys are coming into going into team or like inside run or something like that. So
Mm.
like Deuce and I would come in and we're excited just because we get to be on the football field. And we would and we would make sure that we would be on the far end on the second field because we knew like if we were anywhere near what you guys are going on because of how intense those practices used to be. Because we could hear Coach Grow yelling, we could hear, Al Golden or our dad or anybody yelling at a certain point. We're like, we're just staying away from that. But like the intensity of those practices, I vividly remember just being insane. And then as soon as we're done, we're excited to go say hi to dad. He's like, oh yeah, we got some gassers to do, and you guys are gonna do them with them.
Bro, don't remind me. Like,
And I
especially my
remember
first year,
we had to run with you guys.
it was so miserable. So Brandon Albert and I, on a number of days, our first training camp, looked at each other in the room at the end of the night, like, are we sure we want to go do this again tomorrow? Like practice would be so tough. It was so hot in Virginia. And then we gotta run laps like after practice. We're running them like, come on, man. Like, what's going on? I'm trying to go recover, and but it definitely one made us much better shape, and we needed it, right? Like I was so fat that year. I was 360 and just, my low back's hurting all around campus. So
Right.
yeah, that was definitely necessary. But yeah, it was tough. And
But the
yeah. Go ahead.
It would be hilarious because we would do the running and we thought it was so fun. And then we would get back and we see all of you guys and we try to say what's up to some of you guys. And some of you guys would be furious, like how you're talking about, because you're like, I just did, 4 periods of inside run, had to go straight into team, and then I got to go run sprints. And we're like, what's their deal? Like, we had no idea how
Yeah,
much
you guys are
dedication and
having
effort.
fun. I'm just fighting for my life at that
And
point.
a full circle moment. It was probably for all three of us. So we'd go to those practices and we'd walk with y'all off the field, and man, y'all would instantly dive right into those cold tubs. The
Oh
big,
man.
big Rubbermaids. Like if to our viewers, if you've never seen these things are massive, and
Horse troughs, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that's
just
a throwback, man. I remember that, and for me, that was sort of par for the course because we did the same thing in high school, right after those double sessions and hopping in those tubs. But then at a point they renovated the building, and then we had like this huge swimming pool of a cold tub that we would all
ah.
go fill in on the inside. So yeah, I vividly remember that transition from like those just Rubbermaid tub type style to, man, like they spent some money and like they're trying to make this nice now. Yeah.
I remember like being like 4 years old and my dad and a player who may or may not be Elton Brown dunking me in the cold tub, and I was like, oh no, 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 no. Why would anyone ever want to do this? Fast forward like 20 years, I'm at my or 10 years, I'm at my first college practice. We ran military flex bone at the Citadel. We're running nothing but inside run basically. And I sprinted back out right in that cold tub, and I was like, dang, so the guys had a point. These really are nice.
Man, and now like in the fitness world,
Oh, it's so
everyone's
trendy now.
clamoring on
Everybody does the
cold
cold
tubs,
tub.
everyone's getting
Yeah.
an ice bath, and I'm like, man, I've been in so many ice baths in my life. I'm not doing this. Like y'all crazy. Like I'm getting in a hot tub. I'm getting in the sauna. Like I'm good. I've been in the cold my whole life.
Ashton Hall just made it glamorous. We were on this decades beforehand.
Yeah, yeah. This is old school stuff right here. Y'all just getting hip to.
Man.
And then we have a question that we like to ask every single one of our guests. It might be the most important. We need to establish some kind of rankings for this. Eugene,
Okay.
what is your Bodo's Bagels order?
I'm basic. I'm basic plain bagel, lettuce, tomato, mayo. I back then I would eat dairy, so a little cheddar cheese on it. And that's it, man. Double up that turkey and you got
Mm.
me.
Ooh, okay. So you're going a little more lunch vibe
Yeah, a
than
little
with the
lunch
bake.
vibe.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
I would say being from Plainfield, like if you're the guys that we're gonna talk to that are from New York or New
And
Jersey,
what you're saying right now is so critical.
they had you have
And
a
the
distinct
fact that Bodo's was good enough for me, being from New
right.
Jersey, having those man, what a place! Like
It's
my stomach's rumbling for it right now, and I'm fasting, so I can't eat it anyway. But man, like Bodo's was the joint.
I was about to say, like, if you're from like the tri-state area, or if you've been in it all and you've experienced it, and you've had that daily experience of having, a deli or bodega or whatever it is, and then versus the guys that were from the South or whatever, both of them can appreciate Bodo's for what it is in two completely different ways. So,
Yeah, yeah, Bodo's held it down. I mean, once you get south of New Jersey, it's tough. Like bread and pasta become something completely different than what it is up there. And so yeah, Bodo's, shout out to Bodo's. If they're still open and around, it's gonna be my first stop when I hit Charlottesville.
So Bodo's, I was just up in Charlottesville for the Virginia Tech game. All three Bodos are still open in and around
Let's
Charlottesville.
go. Let's
oh yeah.
go.
The casualty of the pandemic that I think broke me up the most was Wild Wing Cafe down by the
Oh,
train
good.
station.
Oh my goodness. No way.
Yeah, did make it through.
Oh my good. Well, do we know how to get in touch with the owner, with the chef? We get those recipes. Like maybe we start a little something on the side.
So I drove by and and the train station's still there.
Yeah.
It's just the actual space, like that's not the train hall, is not being used. So that is the restaurant business, as you probably know, is like one of the worst investments you can make, but this would be an investment of love.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even just if I get those recipes to cook up myself, like Wild Wing Cafe. Like, sorry, Buffalo Wild Wings has nothing on Wild Wing Cafe.
You are you a big spicy wing guy? Would you go for like
All
the hot wing
spice.
flavors there?
Give
Okay.
hot as you can make it. Yep. 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 That's my style.
Well,
Wow.
and
Man,
as
I've got memories pulling around into that space. Man, it's crazy. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh
That's
man.
so when Deuce and I were in high school, we went on a recruiting visit, and none other than Marquise Higgins was coaching there at the time, and he took us there. And I was like, "This is the best recruiting visit you could have ever done for us. Like, that's all we need."
Sold.
Like,
Between
yeah,
Wild Wing Cafe and then the old staple. Are they still taking guys to the Aberdeen barn?
I
Ooh,
believe we have to check because
I wonder, man. That place was something special.
I don't
well
know.
then
What James, you'll have to ask Ben that.
I'll have to ask one of my guys. He
Yeah.
played at UVA and then transferred to Delaware afterwards. But that on that same visit, it was like around the same time that the Cavalier Inn had burned down when Deuce and I visited in like 17 or 16, whatever it was. Like
Thank
that it
goodness.
was the
Hate that place.
Well, and it's funny now because that was like their perfect opportunity to expand all the stuff they've done now. I mean, shoot, I remember, and you probably remember all four of us probably remember the old McHugh Center with the facilities there. I drove by when we went up to Virginia Tech. It's insane. The new operations center.
I
That
mean, just even pulling into Charlottesville, coming down 29, like it's a completely different place.
oh yeah,
The level of development that's just continued to happen, over the years is pretty impressive. And yeah, the campus is no different. All the new buildings and dorms that have sprung up. Man, but it still feels like a small, beautiful place, even though there's like so much development and that has happened over time.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Charlottesville is a special place for sure.
Absolutely. John, do you have anything?
Yeah. So my group here is a D line. I know Deuce and James could probably speak for their O line groups, but every D line or O line group has a thing or a tradition. What were some of the best either kind of things or things you guys did as a weekly basis together that you think about or remember?
Interesting. Um, what was our thing as an offensive line? I feel like it was practice. I feel like we were just yeah, like we were
Just on the
I mean
field all
we were
day.
definitely all we were all definitely connected and friends, but at UVA during our time, right? Like I spent as much time out of the building with my O-line guys as I did with the DBs and my quarterback and receivers and everyone else. We were just all family in that way. So yeah, like bit of a different experience. Like flip side, like when I look at my experience in the NFL, that time with teammates was certainly position group based,
Mhm.
just because you're just locked in for so much more time of the day with those guys. But I've got like those deep memories and experiences with teammates from every position. That family vibe was real for us.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
When you
yeah,
can only stare at a guy for so long before you actually talk to him, especially if you're practicing against him every single day. So,
yeah. Whether you like fighting each other for a spot or just like encouraging one another. Yeah. But I mean, we'd always eat for sure. That's the thing. We spent a lot of trips at Wild Wing Cafe together. I'll
yeah.
say that. Yeah, that was definitely a thing.
So, throughout your college career into your NFL career with Jacksonville, you wore mainly number 75. Is there a reason why the number 75? Is there any special significance to it, or did you add significance to it after you got 75?
I never cared a ton about the number, and the number I wore in high school was retired 73. So I grabbed 75, and then just stuck with it. And it was a thing until I played against Vince Wilfork and I tried to down block him and he just kind of looked at me and didn't move at all and said, "I'm the real 75." Uh,
Ooh.
so so yeah, I got rid of it when I was traded to Baltimore and chose 60.
Right. Was there any significance to 60?
Um, you know what? It was time for something different, right? Like
Mhm.
getting traded or out of Jacksonville to Baltimore felt like getting drafted again to a
Mhm.
degree, right? We had some tough years in Jacksonville, and that last year I was there was just professionally a tough year for me. I was playing the best ball of my career,
Mhm.
um, but really butting heads for the first time with a coaching group that we just didn't see eye to eye. There was a lot of issues there. And clashing with my O-line coach, for example, and then some of the things that he did that I didn't appreciate. Um, like during training camp, just like wild stuff.
Mhm.
And all due respect to the man, he played in the league too, and rest his soul. But it was just a tough year. Just ideologically, right? Like I was getting backlash for staying on the field with the younger players and getting extra work, right? They're just trying to model after me, right? I'm just out
Mhm.
here getting some extra work. And then, battling with a coach who thought that I was like coaching against what he was trying to teach. I'm like, why don't you come hang out with us and just see what's going
Learn
on
something.
here? Yeah, just
Yeah.
learn something. And so that was just a weird time. But man, like it was like a breath of life when I got to Baltimore and just the environment that's here. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the history of the Baltimore Ravens, and
Mhm.
it's probably been fresh because of the news with Harbaugh being fired,
Right.
and his transition out of there. But it was a dose of Coach Grow, right? Like, we're
Mhm.
gonna let you guys be who you are, but every bit of your day is intent on being a consummate professional. And so, like, it was going back to my roots in a way.
Mhm.
It was just a breath of fresh air. Like, the entire organization just run at an impeccable level. There weren't buckets lining the hallways of the stadium where our meeting rooms were tucked into, catching raindrops every
I
day, right? Like, it was
remember
just totally different.
I
Yeah,
remember going in there to go with my dad for work, and I was like, this is new.
yeah,
Be
yeah,
like all
yeah.
it was like all some like concrete meeting rooms, like no windows. Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like jail. It was literally like jail, right? Locker room, no light coming in there, just artificial light. It was bad, man. That was a bad setup. But they got new ownership and they invested into their facilities, and things are very different now. And
Yeah.
they're actually on a roll right now too. So
yeah.
Ravens are down, but now I can look at my Jags, as they're still in it. So.
I was gonna say if they go all the way, you and Nate have to get together for the Super Bowl, get the
Oh
Duval
man,
party going.
man, Nate, thanks for bringing. I gotta reach out to him. It's been a while.
Well, let's say there's just been some, especially because how everything, like you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like our dad being able to come out to Jacksonville in 2012 and us being able to, be a part of, your season there and everything like that. And despite everything that went on the field in terms of wins, loss, like there was still a ton of talent on that field, and there was still a lot of incredible players. Like I vividly remember Maurice Jones-Drew, Mercedes Lewis, Cecil Shorts. You had all these guys, and then you go into Baltimore, who I believe it was a year after or 2 years after they had been to the Super Bowl. I guess you kind of mentioned the stark differences of the two, but when you got to Baltimore and you mentioned this, like, what kind of standard did you feel like as you were playing your best ball in Jacksonville, did you feel like you had to bring your game to another level when you got to
Absolutely,
Baltimore? Yeah.
absolutely, instantly. The level of talent on the team was higher, so it demanded it. Right now, I'm lining up one versus ones. I got T Suggs.
Mm.
And his jump off the ball was just so nasty. Like, just what, and then Elvis Dumervil is on the team, right? All
Oh
right,
my,
so
we
like
don't talk about Elvis enough.
every day is just a complete dogfight, and it was just a very different environment than what we had in Jacksonville overall.
Mhm.
Not to discredit anyone or things that how they were there at the time, but it's clear, like, the history is clear, and what Baltimore has been able to do over time definitely stands out. And so that transition, instantly, my first day there, I knew this was a different experience, right? Like, they literally installed the whole offense in like 2 3 days, because I'm basically living with the assistant O-line coach, like, at every moment, just breathing football. Like, it was so intense.
I remember being with my dad one week in the NFL, and we picked up, it was in Detroit, we picked up a tight end on Wednesday for a Sunday game
Yeah,
because we had Pettigrew down, we had just drafted Ebron, we needed another tight end, and we installed the entire offense in one night. And I was
yeah,
on eraser duty on the whiteboard. We had the floor to ceiling whiteboards. It was one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my life.
yeah.
And the dude went out on Sunday and played great.
Yeah, and I remember something your dad used to say stuck in my head, and it actually came up like right before halftime. And what he would always say is the information is out there, right? So like it didn't matter if this thing was installed 4 months ago. Like you better be able to recall it when we need it.
Yeah.
And that just had me so nervous and so much more intent on like remembering everything that was force fed to me during that time. Um, because it didn't matter that I was just there a couple of days. If a play was called and I was responsible for it and I didn't know the assignment and I got the quarterback hit, it's on me regardless. So like just that statement was just like a little bit of pressure in my head to like really dig into that process and absorb as much of that detail of the offense that I could in that rapid fire session, or those rapid fire sessions of being up crack of dawn before everybody in the meeting with Andy Moeller at the time, who was the assistant O-line coach.
Hmm.
um, and then just those all those hours, meetings in between meetings, right? Everyone gets out of meeting, there's transition. Nope, I'm right back upstairs in the coach's office, installing protections.
Yeah.
And luckily, what we did in Jacksonville, exposed me to, essentially all of the protections you could possibly go through. And so, just it was framing terminology and that kind of thing that
Yeah.
was what really took the time. Yeah.
I'm sure that information's out there. And then the RP whistle. Because when James was talking about us being out on the field, I can also remember hearing the whistle, and not only all four of our heads turning, but the entire offensive line group heads turning to wherever the whistle was coming from.
You know it. You know it. Man, the time I spent with your dad in Jacksonville almost felt like they brought him there just to coach me. And I know that's not the case. But he ended up working like specifically with tackles and tight ends. And
Yeah.
obviously I was a tackle. And so like just to get that experience with him, that I was kind of mad at him for leaving us after that first year at UVA. So it was like I was reclaiming time with my pops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that was a year of transition, I feel like, for everyone involved. The four of us, we were settling into kind of a new lifestyle. My mom was just moving back up to White Plains to live close to her parents.
Yeah.
My dad had just gotten done with the Colts and everything like that, and so it seemed like it was a transition year for everyone, and everyone kind of came out on the better side after a 2-14 year, which you really don't ever see.
Man, that's rough stuff. Mm. Just like and being on the razor thin margin in some of those situations.
Hmm.
That really taught me like when you're riding on that negative side of those margins, like you're really not as good as you think you are.
Right.
We got so much more work to do, and that became real to me, with the transition to Baltimore. And I could see, those points where the difference, where it really made a difference, being just better at these things and these details, and this level of unison across the board.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And in your time in Baltimore, when you got there, obviously in your career, getting more affiliate integrated in the business world obviously helped, and staying there helped. But at what point in Baltimore did you realize, okay, I want to put down some roots here? This seems like the place
I
that
didn't
you
have a
really want to
choice.
be.
Bro, I didn't have a choice. But I met my wife at UVA. She grew up here. I'm stuck here, man. Like I can't go anywhere. My wife's parents live 15 minutes away from us. Like her whole family's there, her brothers and sisters, and like all our kids, cousins and everything are here. Man, I can't go anywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
not to say I don't I love being here. And my family is just a couple hours north in Jersey.
yeah.
And so, they spent the whole ton of time down here. More so, much more time when I was playing and then during COVID too. But yeah, I love it here. And again, like Virginia's right up the street too.
Yeah. Our
Yeah.
our sister Grace, she went to college and rode at Loyola, Maryland. So we've all been in Baltimore, and so we all understand the appeal of why when someone moves to Baltimore, they really enjoy it. So I wanted to hear your take on it because Grace, she lives just down the street in DC now, and she's up in Baltimore all the time. So it seems like it's a place that's pretty sticky in terms of keeping people
Yeah,
around.
you get your taste of like if you want like the grungy city vibe, you can go to Baltimore. If you want like the upscale city thing, you can do DC, which is right down the road. And then like within that, Maryland is just so country. Like I live in the woods. So like you just got this diversity of terrain and environments. So yeah, I do enjoy it here for sure. There's fishing here too, right? Like when I was in Jacksonville, you know,
Mm.
any given day of the week after practice, I'm liable to be on my boat catching something. And you can certainly do that here too. So yeah, I love my time here.
I don't want to make you feel old, but James is engaged and getting married over in Frederick this fall, and he sent me a
Okay.
picture of the venue, and I was like, "Did James just send me a venue in Indiana? Or are we just going to Indiana?" And he's like, "No,
Oh
it's in
yeah.
Frederick."
Yeah. No, her family's from Maryland. I mean, her parents live in Frederick, but their family's
Yeah.
from Philly, but they've been living in Frederick for 25 years. It's so funny because we go out there and I'm like, man, it's just like the Midwest, or like you wouldn't even know that like an hour away you have two of the biggest cities on the East Coast with Baltimore and DC. And then, she got to live in Baltimore for 2 years going to nursing school. So she lived in Fed Hill and I loved it there. Like I loved being right across the block from Camden Yards and MT and Bank Stadium, and like I think Baltimore is a super underrated place. Like if the people in the national media or whatever like will say whatever, I'm like good. Like keep it a secret like that. Like I like enjoying it without too many people knowing about how great it really is.
Yeah, the Wire was out when I was at UVA, right?
Oh,
So like, that show definitely, I think, painted Baltimore kind of the same way that Jersey Shore painted New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Like that everyone thinks that's all it is, right? And I'm like, man, I'm from New Jersey and like nothing about Jersey Shore resonates with me at all. And so I think it's like a similar thing in Baltimore where it's just like there's a lot of beauty there. Like you said, like being Fed Hill, just being able Cross Street Market, like
oh
just
yeah.
all these nice little pockets, man. It's a great city. It's definitely a great city. Yeah.
And one thing I want to,
James put me
Oh
on the
yeah.
wire a few summers ago. That
Oh
was
yeah.
really good. I
Yeah.
really
We were binge watching it after each day of camp. Like we were watching it because we were living together in Indiana State. I was watching it with him. I'm like, man, this thing is so good. But I was like, nothing like that now. Like, don't worry. Like, there's no Omar running around the streets right now, like hitting the whistle, like as you're going through. Like, it's gonna be okay.
Well, congrats on your engagement and good luck, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I gotta brush up on my best man speech. Get ready to bring out the slideshow, maybe figure out find every sack James gave up,
Oh,
maybe.
that's a big job, man. That is a
Uh,
big job. Let's go.
But
Put
yeah,
them
man.
all out there. Put them on blast. Don't beat them up too much. But yeah.
But one thing that we were touching on earlier, and as we've talked about your transition to Baltimore and now outside of football, there was a long time perception you can't win football games at Virginia. The GP, like the academic expectations are too high. They want like there are so many other priorities. One of the reasons I started this podcast is to connect with guys like you because on the teams that won 8 games, 9 games, you have yourself, Alvin Pierman, who's doing amazing professionally. DeBrigashaw is doing amazing professionally. Chris Long, who's doing amazing with his podcast and with charity work. You've got Matt Schaub, who's doing a great job. Like there were so many guys that were not only great football players, but great people and transitioned out of football into amazing careers. And that's one thing that I really wanted to highlight. So thank you so much for your time tonight. It's been absolutely incredible having you on, Eugene.
Oh man, I was excited when you reached out. Like I said, I've been, I took a lot of time off social media, like over a year, and
Mhm.
got back on, and so I've been seeing your content, and it's been one keeping me up to date with how fast things move in college ball and UVA specifically, but I see what you're putting into it, so I appreciate you and keep grinding, man. Keep, putting your all into this thing. It's a cool thing you're building here. And yeah, just thanks for spending some time with you guys. I feel like you are like my little bros.
Yeah.
And I get a dose of pops when I get a chance to talk to y'all. And y'all look like him too. So I feel like I'm sitting here with RP right now.
I
So
was gonna say, Coach Grow is our coaching grandfather, and then guys like Coach
do you love
Poindexter.
football?
Sorry,
I said, do you love football?
I love it. I love it, Coach. Shoot, I wore 56 in college because Coach Grow indoctrinated me into the Giants thing, and so I always
Mm,
was an LT guy.
yeah.
And but man, watching guys like you, Coach Grow is our coaching grandfather, Coach Poindexter, Coach Mike Grow, those are like our coaching uncles, and then all of you guys are like our big brothers, and y'all are the reason we love football.
Oh,
Like, do you love
absolutely.
football? Yeah, because we watch you guys march up and down the field, kick ass every Saturday. So thank you so much for giving us that gift of like the joy and excitement and the love of football. So thank you.
Oh man, I can't take any honor for that, man. I feel just like you, right? Like just the folks who came before and kind of paved and showed the way and left that example for us to follow. It's special when that happens. So yeah, man, this has been good. This has been fun, and it's great to like see the kids that used to hang around us like all come into adulthood and you all are finding your way. So God bless you all and good luck at all these endeavors.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Eugene, where can everybody find you? I know you said you're back on social media, so where can
Yeah,
people find
just
you?
just my Instagram is Eugene Green Monroe. I'm on there. I haven't been posting much of anything. I used to post like I don't know 10 times a day or so. But maybe I'll get back to that. I've had some people have been asking me, for some of the old content I put out, mostly like fitness stuff,
Yeah.
just because those runs after practice ingrained something in me in the fitness vibe. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Well, I know you got a birthday in the family, so we will release you back to your family. But thank you so much for coming on. To our viewers, James and Eugene let you know where you can find Eugene on Instagram. Give him a follow. He's got some great stuff on there, and hopefully some more stuff because we love more
more
Eugene
to
content.
come, more to come. Yeah, more to come. I got rid of my old page. And I think it's just like some family stuff on there now, but I'll get active again and I'll be in touch with you all and tracking you. And, I see all your content. So, I'll be watching.
Absolutely. To
Yeah.
our viewers, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you have made it this far, it's clear that you love UVA football and appreciate the contributions of guys like Eugene Monroe. So stick around. Thank you so much for watching. And man, go Hoos.
Go Who's, Wahoo Wah.
Peace.